All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us at this meeting of the Sonoma County Junior College District Board of Trustees. I'm calling the meeting to order. I'd like to thank everyone joining us in person and online. We'll start as we always do with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we gather at Santa Rosa Junior College on the territorial traditional land of the Pomo people in Santa Rosa and the Coast Miwok people in Petaluma, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. As a reminder, public comment will be allowed at the appropriate times. If you would like to make an in-person public comment, please grab one of the yellow public comment cards in the back of the room and bring it up to the front desk here to Zara. And for those online, please wait to raise your hand until instructed to do so by me. That brings us to item B1, announcements of reportable action. There is no reportable action from closed session. Item B2, approval of the open session agenda. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda? All right, any public comment on this item or board members wishing to comment? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? All right, the agenda is approved. That takes us to item B3, approval of our regular meeting minutes from our last regular meeting. Do I have a motion and a second on the minutes? All right, any public comment on this item or board members wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll go to student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? The regular meeting minutes are approved. Next, that takes us to item B4, approval of special meeting minutes from our last special meeting. Do I have a motion and a second? Any public comment or board members wishing to comment on this item? Seeing none, student trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? The minutes are approved. That brings us to item B5, our employee of the month for February 2026. I believe we have Lauren Coburn to present Farrell Dobbins.
Good afternoon, President Chabon, Dr. Garcia, members of the board, and SRJC community. I'm Lauren Coburn, Interim Director of Student Financial Services, and I'm so happy to recognize our colleague, Farrell Dobbins, as February's Employee of the Month. Farrell is Coordinator of Veterans Affairs and our school's certifying official. She spent 15 years in higher education, beginning her career as a federal work-study student. That origin story says a lot about her. She understands student life, not as a concept, but as a lived experience. She's carried that understanding into every role that she's held. In her 7 years at SRJC, Farrell has done more than support students. She has transformed the entire student, veteran, and military-connected experience. She played a pivotal role in shifting the department name from Veterans Affairs to a far more appropriate Veterans Success Center, a change that reflects deeper truth about her work. The Veterans Success Center has become exactly what the name promises, a true center of success, stability, and belonging. The environment itself is warm, cozy, and inviting, as you can see in our little snaps there. It's a calm space where students can retreat during their demanding days. It's a space that communicates safety and care the moment you walk in. And that kind of transformation happens through intention, compassion, and steady leadership. Farrell builds pathways. She creates support systems. She makes success possible. This has been demonstrated exponentially over the last 6 years as Farrell dramatically enhanced community services for military connected students through Prop 63 MHSA Grant Collaborative with Nation's Finest, the Sonoma County Veteran Service Office, and Legal Aid of Sonoma County. These partnerships and services have strengthened our partnerships in campus climate by ensuring that students receive timely support, maintaining their wellness as students in highly regulated benefit systems. Farrell is someone others rely on. When challenges arise, she approaches them with a calm, solution-oriented mindset. She asks the right questions, collaborates effectively, and follows through. Her work is thorough, her judgment is trusted, and her contributions elevate the entire team. But beyond her technical skills and incredible work ethic, Farrell brings something even more meaningful, a deep sense of purpose. She treats students, colleagues, and partners with respect and empathy, always remembering that behind every policy, process, or deadline, there's a person counting on us to get it right. Recently, one of our student veterans told me, and I quote, "Farrell has saved my life. I am rehabilitating from physical and mental health issues from my time in the military. I felt absolutely helpless when I first started. She saw me through and always stayed by my side. I'm within my last semester or two from graduating directly because of her intelligence, strength, and support. And she deserves every success." Farrell also played a pivotal role recently in a moment with our foundation when a Vietnam veteran donor shared with our foundation executive director, Sarah Legis, that after meeting Farrell, he felt that if he had met someone like her when he returned from war, his life outcome may have been completely different because he would have felt safe, supported, and seen. It was an emotional and powerful moment of healing, a testament to the kind of presence Farrell brings into every space she enters. She is humble, she leads quietly without seeking recognition. She's deeply committed to student success and the well-being of our campus community. She's a committed colleague, genuine, kind, and steady. She leads with compassion and grace. She's also, importantly, a whole person beyond her title. Farrell's a spouse of a veteran, a mother of two, a sister, a colleague, and a friend. She's thoughtful and funny, someone who brings joy and laughter to those around her. She also brings passion to the things she loves, like crocheting and reading, which somehow feels perfectly fitting for someone who creates warmth everywhere she goes. I'm truly grateful for the chance to publicly acknowledge Farrell today. Thank you for this opportunity. Please join me in congratulating Farrell Dobbins as February's Employee of the Month. On behalf of the district, I'll present Farrell with this really beautiful plaque honoring you for the Employee of the Month. We are also fortunate to share with you gifts from our friends in the culinary, our secret favorites. Also an all sports pass. There's also theater passes. So thank you to the district for providing this special gifts. Also, the Department of Student Financial Services has come together and we have a gift certificate to Noma Knits so that you can continue your crochet. So thank you.
Good afternoon, President Shaban, Dr. Garcia, members of the board, and SRJC community. Thank you for this recognition. I would also like to thank my supervisor, Lauren Coburn, who meets me with endless compassion, warmth, and encouragement anytime I seek her input. My husband, Greg, for sharing so transparently with me the highs and lows of military life. All the student workers I've had over the years who have helped keep the center running smoothly, and all the faculty and staff who collaborate with me regularly so that I'm able to do my job well. I love working in the college setting, and I hold the military community so close to my heart. It is a true blessing to combine two things I care about so deeply: The work I do is just a reflection of the admiration I hold for the service members, veterans, and military families I have met along the way. Thank you.
Congratulations and thanks for all your great work on behalf of the district. And we always let our employees of the month know that they don't have to sit through the entire board meeting if they don't want to. So I'll throw that out there. Let's see, that takes us to item B6, public hearing, mutual intent to open negotiations for additional article of contract between SEIU and the district. Do I have any public comments on this item? Here in the room or online, not seeing any board members wishing to comment on this item. All right, then we will move on to item B7, which is a public comment. We will start with Gabriel Rizzo.
Well, hi. I didn't write anything today. Normally I try to so that I can get everything out there. But I'd like to start off by saying thank you. And I thank the SRJC for providing the most gorgeous dance space a dancer can ask for. The Tauser building has been a joy to come back to. It's where I first took my first dance classes with Laura Brennan and Carrie Stillman. And to be back in that space and what it is, it's like, I think we're blessed. And I thank you guys for that. The bars are too close to the wall though. Size 11 feet do not fit, but just throwing that out there. But other than that, I'm here again because like I've always came here. Cassandra Hillman has abused me in more ways than one. I really don't know if that means anything anymore, but I filed a case against her and two of the allegations were sustained. One being respondent called complainant a bad influence in class and said he was a threat to others. That allegation has been sustained. I was actively called a threat in text messaging, bad influence in classrooms. It's been proven. I don't know what more to say. I am just a guy, just a dancer doing what it is that I love to do. I met my first love ever in the studio, and I met my second love in the studio here at the SRJC. When my mom passed away, I danced at her funeral. Dance has been the only escape for me. I grew up homeless, so I spent my life in the studio. And I don't think that deserves being called a bad influence by the director of the department. Another allegation, respondent caused complainant to lose dance opportunities that he was otherwise qualified for. That allegation has been sustained. And it might be silly to some, but I'll never get to perform at the ACDA in 2023 and 2024 and 2025 ever again. I'll never be able to be at the North Bay Dance Festivals that I was qualified to be in. I would never get the chance to work with Kara Davis ever again. I lost opportunities and it's been proven. And I'll never get those opportunities back.
That is your 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Jordan Tauser-Pardo.
Good evening, members of the board. I wanted to start by saying I'm extremely disappointed with the lack of reportable action for A4, so I'm still here. I'm sure many of you know my name by now, as this is my 6th meeting at which I've spoken on the same issue, But for the record, and for those first listening, my name is Jordan Isabella Tauser Pardo. I genuinely wish I did not have to keep repeating myself, but here we are. At the last meeting, I presented enrollment data showing the class sizes in Cassandra Hillman's courses being significantly low, yet the courses continued to run as fully supported. That information was not based on opinion or rumor, it was measurable data. Enrollment numbers are a form of student feedback. When students repeatedly choose not to enroll, that is not random. It reflects discomfort, lack of confidence, and concern about the person leading the classroom. That should matter. In addition to enrollment trends, the concerns raised about Hillman's conduct have not been isolated. My grievances, along with those of other students and faculty, have resulted in sustained allegations. Between Gabe and myself alone, that totals 9 sustained findings. 9. At what point does a pattern become impossible to ignore? This is no longer about personality differences or a single complaint. It's about repeated findings and declining enrollment. It's about the broader impact on students and the integrity of the learning environment. The ongoing ambiguity is unfair to everyone involved. It is unfair to the instructor who has graciously stepped in to substitute, not knowing week to week whether she will continue for the semester. It is unfair to the students who need these units and are left in a state of anxiety, especially after the drop deadline was passed. Hearing their instructor's statement, quote, "This might be my last day with you, but I'm not sure," end quote, that instability affects real people. I understand there are HR processes, I understand there are legal considerations, but from the outside, what we see is prolonged inaction, and that perception erodes trust in this institution. We deserve transparency, we deserve accountability, and we deserve assurance that standards apply consistently to everyone. I am asking this board to take the enrollment data and the sustained findings seriously and to demonstrate that student voices carry weight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Ivan Turqui.
Greetings, Board of Trustees, President Garcia, campus community. I have a concern about the failed search to hire a full-time faculty member in the counseling department relatively recently. I'm not in the counseling department, but some of my counseling colleagues reached out to me for support. So I'm making this statement. Some in the counseling department believe that the candidates forwarded to the president were extremely qualified and are deeply concerned and unhappy with the failed search. They believe that one of the 2 candidates that were forwarded to the president should have been chosen for the position, both of whom are already associate faculty in the department. Hiring committee faculty invested significant time to do their job of vetting candidates and forwarding 2 of them informed by the counseling faculty's discipline expertise. This professional judgment was contradicted without sufficient explanation. Some counselors believe board procedure 4.3.2P was not followed. The president did not make it clearly known what criteria the president believes were not met by both candidates that were forwarded. I was told that the president said that the hiring committee did nothing wrong, but merely that the candidates forwarded were not a good fit for the college. So then why keep these associate faculty on as associate faculty? We hire associate faculty based upon our belief that they can do the same job that a regular faculty person does. Only we expect them to do it part-time. And then to make our associate colleagues wait an agonizing 3 weeks to find out that they were not a good fit for the college that they already work at is, to say the least, disheartening and not good for the morale of the faculty in the counseling department and outside the counseling department. Lastly, how can a future hiring committee know what standard the president wants used to evaluate candidates in the future? On the contrary, however, some in the counseling department were not unhappy with the failed search. I want to support these counseling faculty as well, but I don't know what their concerns are. If they wish to make them public, I would love to hear what their concerns are. So it seems that there's an elephant in the room that no one is talking about. In general, as a campus community, I don't think we talk about elephants in the room enough. if this is an elephant in the room in regards to this failed search, then we should talk about it. It may be an uneasy discussion to have, but not having it makes it worse. In closing, I support our president's vision for a more equitable SRJC, and I believe that we should find ways to address the elephants in the room, but ways that don't unnecessarily hurt people and bring down campus morale.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mark Bojanowski.
Good evening. My name is Mark Wojnowski, and I'll be reading a letter on behalf of concerned counseling faculty. We want to bring to the attention of the campus community and the public that the SRJC Counseling Department recently completed a full hiring process for a full-time counseling faculty position. Despite the hiring committee following established institutional practices and advancing qualified finalists, the process was ultimately declared unsuccessful by the president of the college. This outcome raises serious concerns for our department. Faculty dedicated extensive time and professional labor to reviewing the applications, conducting interviews, and applying their expertise to identify candidates who met the needs of our students and our campus. The collective professional judgment of the committee was set aside without a clear explanation. From our perspective, Board Procedure 4.3.2p was not followed, and required steps in the hiring process were not adhered to. To date, we have not been provided a transparent rationale explaining why the process was halted or what criteria were deemed unmet. We are equally troubled by the lack of communication throughout the final stages of the process. Final candidates met with the president and were told they would receive a decision by a specific date. Instead, there was no communication from the president or human resources for more than 3 weeks. Such a prolonged silence in the faculty hiring process is unacceptable and reflects poorly on institution's professionalism and respect for the candidates. This inconsistency in communication has negatively affected department morale. It creates uncertainty, weakens our ability to recruit strong candidates, and leaves faculty unclear about administrative expectations. We are left asking, what does a good fit for the college actually mean? Who defines that standard, and why should that determination rest with a single administrator rather than the faculty committee charged with conducting the search? The absence of transparency between the presidential interviews and the final decision raises additional concerns. We received no explanation of what occurred during that period, who was consulted, or how conclusions were reached that contradicted the committee's collective judgment. Higher education institutions depend on shared governance, checks and balances, and transparent decision-making. When established procedures and faculty expertise are overridden without explanation, trust in those systems is eroded. Faculty-led hiring is not a formality. It is a critical safeguard to ensure that those closest to the work of teaching and student support help shape the future of the institution. We believe it is important for all departments to understand that even when committees invest significant time and expertise into a rigorous process, their recommendations may be overturned without clarity or accountability. This has serious implications for faculty morale, for our ability to recruit and retain qualified educators, and ultimately for the students we serve. Transparency, adherence to board policy, and respect for shared governance are essential to the integrity and credibility of this institution. We call for clear communication and a recommitment to faculty-centered hiring practices that honor both policy and professional expertise. Sincerely, concerned members of the counseling faculty.
Thank you. Next up, we have Edward Gathercole.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Edward Gathercole. I'm a first-generation DRD student. Because of permanent disabilities and learning challenges, I rely on the Disability Resource Department for the accommodations that allow me to have equal access to my education. I'm also a former foster youth from a low-income background and a white, non-Hispanic student serving as an Alvanzondo student ambassador. I'm here because Alvanzondo has been a lifeline. My presence here today proves that when we intentionally serve our Hispanic and Latino neighbors, we build a support system that catches every student, regardless of their backgrounds, who might otherwise fall through the cracks of this complex institution. The mission of Alvanzondo is to increase success for underrepresented students in STEM and health sciences. But as any student will tell you, a program is more than just a line item. in a budget. It is the people. The Avanzando staff are the heart of this initiative. For a student like me navigating the rigors of academia with disabilities, their one-on-one mentorship and navigational capital aren't just helpful, they are essential. They transform a large, sometimes intimidating campus into a home. They provide the cultural and personal validation that keeps us from giving up. However, we're at a crisis point. As the staff recently shared, our federal funding will officially end September 30th, 2026. This spring is our last semester of full services. We are heartbroken because when this grant ends, we don't just lose money, we risk losing the experts and mentors who have spent years building these bridges. The students are not staying silent. We have launched a petition on change.org titled Save Avanzando, Protect Critical Student Support at SRJC. This petition is a collective cry for this college to step up where the federal government is pulling back. I urge this board to prioritize the retention of our HSI staff and the expansion of our multicultural center. We need a visible, permanent physical space, a hub where the expertise and support of the Avanzando team can be institutionalized for the long term. The founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, wrote, "The earth is but one country, and mankind its citizens. At SRJC, we are one community. When the funding of our most vulnerable citizens vanishes, it is our responsibility to protect the human infrastructure that makes our HSI status meaningful. Please ensure the staff and the spirit of Avanzando remain a permanent fixture of our campus. Together, let's move forward." Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Michael Vonderpoorten.
Good afternoon, Mike Vonderpoorten here. I want to talk about perhaps one of the most important elements of the junior college, and that is the importance of top students. If we bring in top students, it opens up doors for all of the other students. It creates wonderful opportunities for students to transfer, even if they weren't wonderful high school students, that type of thing. So we need to look at those top students, and I've talked to you about it before. And before, we had some number estimates that maybe 60% of top students used to come to the JC. Well, we now actually have a real number. 77% of our top students used to come to Santa Rosa Junior College. Top high school graduates in the county, 77% came to Santa Rosa JC. I gave you a copy. This is in Gayla Barron's article from 1992. So we actually have numbers. So what's happened to that number since then? Well, it's gone down. What's the number today? About 12%. 12%. We're losing all of those top students. And part of it, of course, is changes in the world and the economy, in parent expectations, student expectations. But part of it is SRJC isn't focusing on getting those students in anymore. We've diverted resources, made it less important to bring those students in. And what does it change? It really changes the nature of the school. If you could bring in a few hundred really top students, they're profitable. The students who come in well prepared, ready to take on those courses, be here for 2 years, I call them 2-year transfer students, and move on. The ADA money more than pays for their expenses. Well, we know that we need to support a bunch of other students. The students who need support, sometimes they're costly. These students are not. This is one of the few things that life that spirals up. You bring in good students, they have demand, lots of high academic courses. That builds the facilities, it builds the reputation, it builds the school and the community. We're not going after those students. We need to. And let me just give you an example. Take a statistics class or a calculus class today. No longer do you have to meet a requirement to get into those classes. So when they teach the statistics, I took statistics a couple of years ago to see what it's like. There are certain things you just can't bring up. You can't show an array of data and ask the students, how might we approach this? Because many of the students don't understand exponents or logarithms. And if you looked at the data with a good background, you'd say, okay, let's see, we're going to use logarithmic analysis or a exponential analysis, and then we can do the linear regression. Those high-level discussions aren't happening anymore. They have to be cut out because a bunch of the students don't have those skills. I'm going to suggest we need to have, for example, a statistics for STEM, a statistics for or calculus for STEM class, where we say you've really got to have those fundamental basics before you can take those classes. So let's go back. Let's focus on bringing in the 77%, get those students in here. Let's get the enrollment up. It helps us with the enrollment issues that we're facing, helps us with the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comments here in the room? I don't have any more comment cards. Do we have any public comments online? All right, seeing no more public comments, we will close the public comment and move on to our monthly updates. I'd like to start by saying that the SRJC board takes complaints and campus climate very seriously. And while we cannot discuss personnel matters, the board is committed to and is taking all appropriate action when complaints come forward. With that, I'd like to turn it over to any other board members with monthly updates. Trustee Fishman.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I just would like to make some general comments about the wonderful reports that were written for information. And then I appreciated the information about Roseland and an increase in student services and the hours that it's her provided and the class offerings. And also about the museum. I don't know, I can't remember, I can't even read my handwriting, sorry. About the amount of museum goods that we gave back to original tribes. I just want to, reparations, that's the word I'm looking for, that we gave back a lot to the San Ynez tribe and to the Great Rancheria. And it was great to read that information in the reports, and thank you. Also, the wastewater treatment that happens in the Petaluma campus, and the growth of that program. If people didn't take notice of that, they should, and the good employment that's coming from those kinds of jobs. I don't know if there's a way to say that baby boomers are leaving, and their cute words for that were retirement replacement. So I guess there was a lot of that going on wastewater treatment, I know it's kind of an odd way to put it, but anyway. And the Sobion block, I really appreciated that. It was nice to know what students like and what students need, and the whole paragraph on the challenges that students are facing. I heard, I don't have a magic wand for you in terms of them holding up institutional challenges, and they need some help. And like I said, I heard it, I read it. I don't have a magic wand, but I did, I heard it. And also I had the pleasure of being able to attend the financial aid conference, our day on last Wednesday. And it was good for me to visit again what goes on in financial aid and the barriers that lack of funds and what financial aid does for students. It was, I hope that you all heard about it somewhere along the line. And I want to appreciate the people that work in financial aid. And I think that is all I have. But anyway, we read your reports. Oh, Doyle Scholarship, of course, I read that too. But it's all full of good news and wonderful things. So, I didn't. So thank you for Doyle. But, I did read that as well.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you, Trustee Fishman. Next, Trustee Bricker.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick items. First off, earlier this month, we held the North County Roundtable up at Schoen Farms. I wanted to thank first everyone who helped organize that and put in all that hard work, and to everybody who came out on a Monday evening and shared their perspectives with us, both from North County in general, but also from the ag community as well. That was very much appreciated. Also, just wanted to note that Trustee Shaban and I attended the ACCT conference in DC last week, and wanted to particularly thank Congressman Thompson, who met with us, for taking time out of his very busy day. We did have to meet in a hallway, but just appreciate him making time between his many meetings to show his support as a dedicated supporter of SRJC, and for everything that he does continually to support keeping higher education affordable in California. That's all.
Thank you. Yes, trustee Bailey and then trustee Battenfeld after that.
First and foremost, I'd like to sincerely thank the students of the Solid Bonus Center, SRJC students, as well as the classified staff here on campus. I was here on Tuesday as I was hosted by students and classified staff in a very engaging conversation. It was very inspiring to hear the not only the questions, but again, the concerns that students had with regards to utilizing these resources here on campus. Again, I just want to say that it was tremendously inspiring to know of the sacrifices and to hear of the support staff, the work of the support staff in supporting all of our students. And it's my hope that students continue to utilize the fullness of the resources that we've made available, that have been made available to you. But I just, it was a very memorable experience. It was tea with the trustee. Again, there were a number of, should I say, public reporters that was there as well. And I just say, I would just have to say that it's a tremendous honor once I engage with students to be able to go out and be able to share the experience that our students have at SRJC. The idea that we clearly continue to be the beacon of Northern California, of the North County. I would honestly say that it gives me hope. And it was the discussion with the idea that you must have hope and faith goes hand in hand. And I just want to say thank you. And I look forward to having many, many more experiences such as that. And again, thank you to the staff, the students that came out on this past Tuesday.
Thank you, trustee Bailey. Trustee Battenfeld.
Yeah, I don't need to say anything about the reports because trustees Fishman congratulate everybody, and they are really useful and helpful. I was also going to give a shout out. It's always nice to, it's on the consent agenda, so we won't be going over it, but it's really nice to see, especially in this meeting, it looks like there were some really good and really vital grants. And again, I appreciate the staff that had to do the work to, do those and get those for our students. And then just also, I serve on the state community college trustee board, and we had a board meeting in January, and we continue to work on issues at the state level, similar to what we're trying to do as trustees here to make sure that students have better access and continued access to programs, to financial aid, to services that they need. Couple of the big issues that came up in the meeting. One is discussions around whether community colleges should be offering more baccalaureate degrees. That was a big discussion. And then the other big discussion was on immigration and providing how we can provide safety and access and belonging to all of our students, especially students who may be immigrant students. And there's a new committee that's going to be working on best practices statewide around that. So thank you.
All right, please, trustee Martinez.
I just want to say that I'm a little jealous of some of my trustees here because they went and did some really exciting things. I've been on campus every week, but doing policy, review, reading, my brain actually hurts when I leave. So I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. But I do want to thank trustee Battenfeld and Fishman for being part of the finance committee while Ricker and our board president were gone in DC enjoying themselves. I don't think you were, because it was, I hear you left really early or really late, and it was a red eye. So kudos to those, but I'm really thankful for that. Really thankful for Sarah, because she's had to deal with me like at least 2 out of the 3 meetings that I've had on campus this whole month. But I also wanted to say and give a shout out to a former student, Loretzin, who was a panelist at Logan on Friday, and also to LFSA, who was there. I think half of the people at the Lucina event was from the JC. Either they were staff or former students or current students. So it was really, really nice to see. I did not get to see the whole presentation, but I was very excited. I was there and, wearing a different hat, but it is really exciting to see that. And I say that because we do get a lot of still, not a lot, but a lot still, but we do get a lot of compliments on the work that we're doing. Especially with Petaluma and Roseland right now. It isn't about like the hype or anything, but we are those students who are going to those campuses are a reflection of where we're at right now in terms of our enrollment. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that because as we saw in our last, in our special meeting, we are having to rethink of who comes to the college based on things that have happened nationally, state, and locally. And so I appreciated being at that place and really having those conversations with both current students, former students, staff, and faculty and management that were there. So I'm appreciative of that. And that LFSA does, just like other of our groups on campus, allow us to be able to be in community in that way. And so a big shout out to that. And again, congrats to those whose brain have not exploded from so much information coming in the last couple of weeks. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other trustees with comments? I just echo Trustee Bricker's thanks to Congressman Thompson. A lot of issues around Pell Grant eligibility, tax implications of that, implications on the ability to get other tax credits from receiving it. So lots of really meaningful issues for our students, and he's very supportive. We also had a chance to engage at the end of January with our legislative delegation in Sacramento too, following the governor's budget release, and want to thank them for their accessibility and interest in our issues. Obviously, these are trying times with federal funding, and so the state partnerships are really important. And so hope to have more to come or more good news through the budget year, but happy working with them. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Garcia for the college president's report.
Good evening, trustees, colleagues, students, and community members. I'd like to begin by congratulating our Employee of the Month, Farrell Dobbins. As our colleague Lauren Coburn shared, she has lived a life in the military with her husband. She and her family live here in Sonoma County, and I absolutely appreciated learning from her just how much putting a space in the Veterans Resource Center so that it could be seen as a place for engagement and community, and not just how do you access this paperwork or this benefit. She clearly is representing the college well in that space. I also would like to acknowledge that today marks the beginning of Lunar New Year. So if for our community members who celebrate, recognition that this is the year of the horse, and in a very powerful way, the fire horse. And so for all of our community members for whom this is a pivotal celebration, just wishing you all the best for a prosperous year. The district held our Professional Development Activities Day last week, where a diverse range of sessions were provided by colleagues for colleagues. It was a remarkable day filled with learning, engagement, and centering our work on students. Dr. Mark Anderman provided the Towser Lecture, From Shape to Sound, the Geometry of Music, which was filled with a historical overview of the important connection that math has in music, and did that throughout compilation throughout history and genres. As a non-musical person, I appreciated the opportunity to learn not only broad concepts, but also experience them in praxis as he played instruments and even debuted a new song that he wrote. So just want to thank the PDA committee for their work to make that possible. As part of my welcome message to PDA, I offered some reflections that I want to share this afternoon. So apologies to those who had to hear this last week. You're going to hear a little portion, a little repeat. The reality is that the very fabric of our democracy is being tested. I shared during the 2024 PDA opening session at the Petaluma campus words from Toni Morrison. The function, the very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. Somebody says you have no language and you spend 20 years proving that you do. Somebody says your head isn't shaped properly, so you have scientists working on the fact that it is. Somebody says you have no art, so you dredge that up. Somebody says you have no kingdoms, so you dredge that up. None of this is necessary. There will always be one more thing. In today's world, those distractions include defining an entire racial and ethnic group as illegal criminals. It includes destroying national buildings, art exhibits, and historical facts, essentially erasing the history of an entire people. This month is Black History Month, which is US history. Thank you to our Sawabona Block leadership and colleagues for collaborating across the district to host a variety of engagement opportunities. Those have been grounded in resilience, Black excellence, cultural art, music, and history. There is a report, a program highlight, so there's still time to participate in events tomorrow, the 18th, the 29th, the 25th, culminating with the Blueprint Afro Fest ball. So if you're interested in celebrating with students, please join. But I actually want to bring back some comments that I shared, that one of the events was Tea with Trustee Bailey. And during this particular event, he shared his experiences, offered insights, wisdom, dichos, as we say in Spanish. And among those dichos, I want to highlight one today. So Trustee Bailey shared, how can I say I can't do it when I know I follow in the steps of those who have forged a way when there was no way? I don't know if you know, we pay attention when we have engagement from the community. And so we do not have the luxury of not engaging in the hard work that is to preserve and ideally advance public education, higher education. I humbly recognize that I'm in this seat because of those who have paved the way for me to be here, even beyond my own familial roots. So beyond my grandparents, Apolonio Cabrera, Maria Soto Cabrera, immigrating from Mexico to the United States. It includes 5 Mexican-American families filing a class action lawsuit in Mendez v. Westminster, which was a landmark case in 1947. It ruled that Mexican schools in California were unconstitutional and had great impact on the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education ruling. I am aware, humbled, and do not take lightly that my access to education fundamentally changed because of a little girl, Sylvia Mendez, and the families who fought for an entire people. Yes, we are living through unbelievable times. Yes, we have real challenges in meeting the educational and career needs of a community that is mostly part-time. And yes, we have real challenges in achieving fiscal sustainability to ensure that SRJC is here for another 107 years. Achieving fiscal sustainability is going to require a level of focus, commitment, and communication. Our previous long-range plan included SRJC achieving a 17.9 million reduction by the end of this fiscal year. And we are on track to complete that work. This has provided a level of stability over the past 5 years while continuing to work towards pre-fire, pre-pandemic enrollment of 17,000 FTES. The district is now in a phase of working towards financial sustainability, which in short means we have to achieve an additional 10 million in budget reductions for the 26-27 year. This is the time to put into action choices that should have begun years ago. We need to right-size our district for the student enrollment that we have, for the community that we're serving, while continuing to meet the needs of the broader community, while continuing to be student-centered, admission-centered, as this board has made very clear. So with the deep respect and humility, I want to be clear in my intent and purpose is to move us towards solutions. I have a clear understanding that I must hold myself and each of us here accountable to do our part in realizing the mission of SRJC. I choose to be here because my purpose is to be a part of a community that does its part to disrupt generational poverty. I choose to be here because SRJC is made up of incredibly brilliant, talented, and compassionate students and educators who want to make a difference in our community. I choose to be here because educating those who lead in our future deserve to have an open access to higher education. This concludes my remarks for this evening.
Thank you. Next up, I believe we have a foundation report from Trustee Fishman, followed by a board finance report from Trustee Martinez.
The SRJC Foundation met on January 22nd and welcomed new Director of Philanthropy, Carolina Nazaro, and continues strong stewardship and board engagement efforts in developing its new philanthropic plan. Year-to-date, giving reflects solid momentum, including major gifts for Shonen Farm, Roseland, Fire Technology, scholarships, and program support, with the Fire Tower project now fully funded through state and philanthropic investments secured in partnership with State Senator Mike McGuire. Externally, we are deepening relationships with legislators and community partners, co-hosting the community roundtables with the district across the county, and sharing the college's $1.8 billion economic impact to reinforce SRJC's vital role in Sonoma County.
Thank you very much. Trustee Martinez.
The Board Finance Committee met on Tuesday, February 10th. The meeting was to review the 24-25 Santa Rosa Junior College District Audit Report. The external auditors of the district gave an overview of the audit, including required communications, and highlighted the various changes and other noteworthy items and answered questions that arose. There were no state or federal compliance audit findings. All of the audits received an unmodified opinion, which is the best possible opinion, and there were no identified significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. The committee thanked Whitney Schultz, a finance director, for all the hard work on the audit. The report is on the agenda for approval later in the meeting.
Thank you. Next up, we got Trustee Battenfeld with the Ad Hoc Board Policy and Procedure Review Committee report.
All right, the Ad Hoc Board Policy and Procedure Review Committee met twice. We met on February 3rd and February 10th. The committee continues to review and update SRJC policies related to the board, specifically the Board of Trustees. There are several policies on today's agenda for a first reading. Some of them are legal updates because of changes in law and ed code. And we anticipate bringing additional policies up in March. And thank the committee for exploding brains and reading lots of policies with me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Next up, we have our bond update with VP Kate Jolly.
Good afternoon. Policy is my love language, if that helps at all. All right. Good afternoon, President Shaban, members of the board, Dr. Garcia, college community. I have another short update as we continue to wind down our projects. For Pioneer, we finally received DSA approval. We'll be putting together the package to bid the project out. We anticipate a late spring, early summer completion. For the fire tower, we've addressed the comments from DSA on the first increment, and we have done the submission for increment 2. We'll continue to work with DSA throughout the process, and we anticipate construction completion in December 26. At Petaluma, for the media services tutorial project, we are currently bidding the project, and we do have a contract amendment on the agenda today for Hamill, Green, and Abrahamson for $27,555, and that is to add security plans for new card readers. At Roseland, we are substantially complete. We have completed the landscaping, we've installed the skylight and the furniture. We're commissioning the building now and working through the final punch list and signage, including the monument sign at the entrance. The technology installs will occur later this week, and we have scheduled a ribbon cutting on Saturday, March 28th at 10 a.m. and we really hope to see everyone there. The picture on the right was from this weekend. Is the first time I'd gotten out there in a couple weeks, and it was just incredible to see the difference. Okay, and we have 5 items on the agenda that have not been highlighted. The first is a contract amendment for TLCD for the signage project for $28,000. This is to add multilingual signage into our plan. We have a contract amendment for Salas O'Brien Engineering for the Forsyth HVAC and roof project. So contract amendment number 4 for $20,750. So this is to account for changed conditions that we found during construction. We have our notice of completion for the Towser renovation modernization project. We have an award of contract to RL Builders for the renovations at the Schoen Farm restroom. So these were improvements that were required by DSA, and they include a fire line, fire sprinklers, as well as some ADA improvements. And finally, we have the annual bond report for Measure H from the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. This is just our annual report that we send to the community around the spending of our bond funds, and it was approved by CBOC at their last meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Yeah, Trustee Fishman.
I was just wondering when the Bond Oversight Committee report will reach the public.
We anticipate probably March time.
Okay.
Yeah, the RFP for the process has been done, so this is our last step in the approval process, and we'll send it out.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll go to Student Trustee Clark for the Student Trustees Report.
Good afternoon, Board President Shaban, board members, President Garcia, and our college community. Thank you for the opportunity to update you all. I'd like to begin with what I've been hearing directly from students recently. There has been a strong suggestion that wages for bilingual students and bilingual student employees be raised to around $19 per hour. Students have expressed that bilingual student employees provide essential linguistic and cultural support to our campus community, not simply filling positions, they are bridging gaps. When students can access services in their home language, they feel seen, understood, and supported, and compensation should reflect the added value and labor that this work requires. Alongside these conversations, SGA is currently navigating a budget deficit. In collaboration with the SRJC Foundation, we are working to organize a donor event to help raise funds for student initiatives. At the same time, what I've observed within SGA is a broader need for expanded financial education, training, workshops, and resource support for students. Financial literacy and institutional navigation are forms of empowerment. We are continuing to advocate for these needs and welcome all collaboration in strengthening this area. We also heard a public comment from April regarding the loss of resources in Roseland and within non-credit programs last Monday in SGA, and I wanted to reiterate those concerns here. A few reported reductions include text reminders and outreach efforts and ad card flexibility. There are also accessibility concerns affecting night students, such as welcome center hours that do not accommodate evening schedules, limiting access to gender-neutral restrooms during evening hours, and a lack of digital literacy workshops and programming that other campuses provide to help close those equity gaps. These services are not peripheral. They directly impact working students, non-traditional students, and those who rely on flexibility to remain enrolled. When these supports shrink, the burden shifts onto the students who already carry the most. Last Friday, I attended the LoCN conference downtown, which had a strong participation rate from community members and SGA representatives. The conference explored the history and usage of the term Latinx and offered practical strategies for institutions seeking to better serve their communities, which I wanted to relay today as well. Several themes stood out. Hiring employees who are in genuine relationship with the communities they serve, asking residents, employees, organizations, and students which terms they prefer, hosting ongoing dialogue about language usage, and engaging in identity mapping and bias awareness exercises within teams. The strongest takeaway was that research does not support enforcing a single term universally. Rather, it supports openness, clarity, respect, and acknowledgement of diversity. Institutional responsiveness requires listening rather than prescribing. Related to representation, SGA recently selected members to attend upcoming conferences through SSCCC in San Francisco and ASACCC in Washington, D.C. This was a difficult and heartful conversation because national travel is not accessible to all students. In light of ongoing immigration enforcement realities, including ICE activity that affects our entire community, it is important to acknowledge that participation opportunities are not equally available to everyone. These realities shape who can represent our institution beyond our campus, and they deserve recognition. Lastly, this semester, my coursework has prompted me to reflect more critically on the structure of education itself, particularly how institutional power dynamics often go unexamined within our systems. Education is not merely the transmission of information, it is the shaping of agency. When decision-making structures are hierarchical and opaque, students learn compliance. When they are transparent and participatory, students learn civic responsibility. In my English class, in an essay we studied called The Banking Concept of Education, the author Paulo Freire argued education can either reinforce the logic of existing systems or function as a practice of freedom. If we are serious about preparing students for democratic participation, our governance structures must reflect mutual learning rather than unilateral authority. Institutions teach not only through curriculum, but through structure, through budget priorities, access to participation, and whose voice carries weight. As student representatives, our role should not be symbolic, but integral to institutional learning and accountability. And lastly, I would also like to quote Bad Bunny from the Super Bowl. The only thing more powerful than hate is love. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, that concludes item B8, our monthly updates. We move on to B9, our reports, starting with the Academic Senate report with President Stover.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Siobhan, members of the board, Dr. Garcia, I apologize, I don't have a written report for you today, but I'm gonna engage my best teacher self and wing it. I wanna reiterate a message I sent on PDA Day, which is choose love, choose joy. Queer joy is resistance was the theme of SF Pride last year. And we all have choices to make in how we present, who we relate, how we dress. In honor of the Year of the Fire Horse, I put on my unicorn tights today. So I missed the memo on how to dress like a serious Senate president, but that's okay because I'm going to be me and I want everybody else to be themselves as well. So let's all choose joy and love in our work. I will note that the Senate has met three times. We've had a retreat this semester. We have been busy updating the bylaws. We are establishing a work group to determine whether or not we want to establish an honors program, an equitable honors program at SRJC. There's lots of models and examples of how this works and a lot of faculty who have benefited from those very programs who teach with us. We also approved the establishment of site-specific faculty forums at, if they want them, at Schoen Farm, Public Training Safety Center, and Roseland. And Petaluma Faculty Forum already exists. And so this is the model by which then we will establish other faculty site-specific forums to increase the voice and the visibility of faculty. We continue to collaborate with the district and with one another on updating AP 7120A, contract faculty hiring, which was originally created in 1990. So so I guess I don't really have to say anything other than that. Then I graduated college in 93, so I guess I'll say that. So anyway, and we meet tomorrow on the Senate. So I do have a request though. This meeting was moved to the third Tuesday. And if I missed the memo explaining why that was necessary, I apologize. But a lot of us have other meetings that we attend to. And so having the board meeting on the same day each month is really important for planning purposes. And it's part of the reason I don't have a written report for you today. So I just ask that if it's necessary to move, just let us know why. So with that, I'll just say thank you. I'll also just highlight that the ASCCC is coming to Santa Rosa for their spring plenary. And I've been doing my best to try to invite them to campus to do a tour or have some snacks. So far, I'm not getting anywhere with them, but fingers crossed. So we'll see what we can do. Oh, and I just want to say thank you, actually, about that. Thank you. There's many people across the district who have stepped up to fund sending close to a dozen senators and future senators to plenary this year, which is really astounding. And so I think a round of applause for the district for stepping up is worthy of us recognizing, because that doesn't happen very often, and it's very much appreciated. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. So with that, I'll cede my time.
Thank you. Next up, we have the classified Senate report with President Linda J. And I believe, is this one going to be online?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm not sure why my camera's not on, but I'll go ahead and give my report anyways. Good evening, everyone. President Shaban, Board of Trustees, Dr. Garcia, and college community, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the College Senate. I missed the January board meeting, but wanted to make sure to congratulate Chloe Anthony, Grounds Maintenance Technician 1, as January's Employee of the Month. I do see Chloe working around the Santa Rosa campus, working hard on our beautiful landscaping, and she always greets me with a warm smile and a hello. I'd like to give her a special thank you for her work in re-landscaping the Heritage Plaza. This is our classified recognition area, and it means a lot to us to have it regularly cared for. So thank you, Chloe, for all you do to help us keep our campus beautiful and thriving. Also, congratulations to Pharrell Dobbins, Coordinator, Veterans Affairs, as February Employee of the Month. Farrell's professionalism, integrity, and unwavering dedication to serving our military-connected students and their families make a lasting impact, obviously. She leads with care, accountability, and genuine commitment to student success, creating a welcoming environment in the Veterans Success Center where students feel they belong. Actually, sorry, I think that's the Welcome Center now. Thank you, Farrell, for all you do for our vets. This week, we're celebrating Friendship Week by honoring our classified professional and confidential colleagues with a small token of appreciation. In addition, we'll be holding an event for our classified and confidential friends this Thursday, the 19th, providing coffee, tea, and tasty treats as we celebrate all they do for our Bear Cubs. In the spirit of friendship, we'd like to encourage everyone to reach out and make new friends across our campuses, introduce yourself to a new colleague, or meet up with that person you only talk to on email. These connections and events like Friendship Week are crucial to bring us together, introduce new colleagues to our campus, revisit our friends, and strengthen our sense of community. We've launched our Secret Pal program for the spring semester. For nearly 15 years, this program has helped our community connect through small gestures of kindness, thoughtful notes, and words of encouragement. Time and again, it has strengthened our bonds, closed the gaps between us, and reminded us that we are stronger when we care for one another. A shout out to Maria Banahovitz on the Petaluma campus for keeping the Secret Pal program thriving and fun. Our Spring Seas Candy fundraiser was released today for my chocolate loving friends out there. Check your email for ordering information. And as always, we appreciate your support and love, and in turn supporting your chocolate habits. Our Caring Campus Pillar was happy to report we served a total of 1,681 Bear Cubs on the Santa Rosa campus during our welcome days on the first 3 days of the semester. Several wayfinding tables were set up across campus, providing directions, information, and refreshments. This number shows that what an amazing impact these tables make for our Cubs learning their way on their first days. The Senate is accepting nominations for open positions of president, that's me, communication officer, community outreach pillar lead, DEIAAJ pillar lead, and caring campus pillar lead. We will be accepting nominations through February 20th. This is a great opportunity to get involved with shared governance and support our community. I will be throwing my name into the hat, and I do hope to continue serving my community. As a reminder, our new regular Senate meeting day is the second Tuesday of the month from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. We will meet in Doyle Library, room 141, for the entirety of the spring semester. We had our first meeting last month and the new time at the new time and location. The change proved to be beneficial as the new date and time fit better with our various schedules. It was wonderful to have so many in the room and present, and I want to send a special thank you and welcome to the 8 guests that attended by Zoom. Honestly, I think that is a record breaker for the classified Senate, so I'm so happy to have support and confirmation that our outreach is working. So yay for that. As always, thank you, my friends, for your time and support. Happy Friendship Week and Happy New Year to everyone. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next we go to the Student Government Assembly report with President William Garcia.
In my native language, Shakarek Chikonojal Parektikopaz. President Shaban, Presidenta García y miembros del board, tengan muy buen día. Gracias por el espacio para compartir un breve reporte del Student Government Assembly. Mirando hacia el próximo semestre, uno de nuestros principales objetivos como SGA es alcanzar a más estudiantes y dar a conocer mejor quiénes somos y cómo podemos apoyarlos. Hemos notado que muchos estudiantes aún no conocen las oportunidades de liderazgo ni los recursos disponibles, por lo que hemos estado trabajando en aumentar nuestra presencia en el distrito. Como parte de este esfuerzo, hemos llevado a las reuniones de SGA a diferentes locaciones. Desde el inicio de este ciclo escolar, hemos cubierto Sean Farm y Petaluma, y Roseland nuevamente forma parte de nuestra agenda este semestre. Nuestra meta es continuar rotando las reuniones para acercarnos más a estudiantes y reducir barreras de participación. También me gustaría resaltar la Public Service Fellowship Resolution PSF, un programa que abre oportunidades para estudiantes no tradicionales que trabajamos y estudiamos al mismo tiempo. El apoyo económico permite participar en el liderazgo sin sacrificar ingresos. Hablo desde mi experiencia personal. Sin este tipo de incentivos, muchos estudiantes no podríamos involucrarnos activamente. Asimismo, ya hemos seleccionado a los representantes de SGA y Santa Rosa Junior College para próximos eventos. 4 estudiantes viajarán a Washington, D.C. y 6 estudiantes participarán en la actividad de SSCCC en San Francisco, fortaleciendo nuestra representación y liderazgo estudiantil. También continuaremos nuestra colaboración con la doctora García en los pop-ups de servicios estudiantiles, los cuales han tenido un impacto positivo en la comunidad. Finalmente, deseo reconocer y desear éxito al programa de Certified Nurse Assistant que comenzó hoy y que considero uno de los más sólidos por experiencia propia, ya que muchos hospitales y centros de salud prefieren contratar a estudiantes de Santa Rosa Junior College sobre los demás programas. Muchas gracias por su tiempo y apoyo continuo a los estudiantes. President Shaban, Superintendent Garcia, and members of the board, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to share a brief report from the Student Government Assembly. Looking toward the rest of the year, one of our main goals as SGA is to reach more students and better communicate who we are and how we can support them. We have noticed that many students are still unaware of the leadership opportunities and resources available. So we have been working to increase our presence throughout the district. As part of this effort, we have been holding SGA meetings at different locations. Since the beginning of the academic year, we have at Sean Farm and Petaluma, and Roseland is once again part of our agenda this semester. Our goal is to continue rotating meetings to connect with more students and reduce barriers to participation. I would also like to highlight revisions to the Public Service Fellowship Resolution, PSF, a program that creates paid opportunities for students representatives like myself. The financial support allows students to participate in leadership without sacrificing income. I speak from my personal experience. Without this type of incentive, many students will not be able to get actively involved. Our SGA made revisions to reflect our SRJC community. Additionally, we have already selected the SGA and Santa Rosa Junior College representatives for upcoming events. 4 students will travel to Washington, D.C., and 6 students will participate in the SSCCC event in San Francisco. Straightening students' representation and leadership. We agree to advocate at national level and regional. We will also continue our collaboration with Dr. Garcia on student service pop-ups, which have had a positive impact on the community. Finally, I would like to recognize and wish success to the Certified Nurse Assistant program that began today, which I consider one of the strongest programs based on my personal experience, as many hospitals and healthcare facilities prefer hiring students from Santa Rosa Junior College over other programs. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Next up, we have the All Faculty Association report. We have Sarah Wiley here. Oh, there you are.
Good evening, President Shaban, Board of Trustees members, President Garcia, and members of the college community. I have a couple of things I want to talk about that kind of have been going on and we've been up to, and then just speaking briefly about a matter that's, I think, of importance to all of us. We've been hearing a great deal from faculty about the changes that the switch to Banner is going to bring for everybody. Faculty are hearing that student ID numbers are changing mid-semester, and they don't have the sense that they're getting clear guidance on how students, including some of our most vulnerable populations, will have that information communicated to them. Or what kind of training is going to be offered to faculty, both for their use of the systems that are connected to Banner and how to support student use of Banner-informed systems. So there's a lot of concern underlying both how to do their work effectively as faculty. Of course, we've heard some of this from Classified as well, but I'm not here representing them. And so there's just a general level of anxiety about this and a worry that this could go really badly. And we don't want it to go badly. We want it to go well. We would like it if people who are going to engage with these systems and really be frontline with them, with students, have a good sense that they know what they're doing, that they're confident in their ability to guide students and help them get the information out of those systems that they need to. We are still working hard with our district partners and our classified colleagues to develop solutions to our health insurance cost quandary. We're meeting next week, again, as a small group, and we remain optimistic about the potential outcomes of those meetings. So we're feeling positive about that. We feel like we've had some good interactions, and we're hopeful going into the future of working on that. And I'd also like to speak briefly today for the rest of my report about the importance of respecting faculty professional judgment at our college. Faculty members are not just employees delivering content. They're trained experts in their disciplines. They're mentors to students and stewards of academic standards. Years of study, research, and classroom experience inform the decisions they make about curriculum, grading, academic integrity, disciplinary requirements, weighing in on matters of public interest, program development, hiring their colleagues, sparking curiosity, fostering individual student interests and a lifelong love of learning. Additionally, in the execution of their shared governance responsibilities, faculty demonstrate that they read and digest complex materials involving institutional thriving, such as budgetary matters, political and social movements addressing societal ills, technological advancements, and workforce demands from industry, all while supporting and championing the need for an educated populace in a democracy. Respecting their professional judgment means recognizing that these decisions are grounded in expertise, ethical responsibility, and a commitment to student learning. When we undermine faculty judgment, we risk lowering academic standards and sending the message that expertise does not matter. But when we support it, we strengthen the credibility of our degrees, protect the integrity of our institution, and create a culture of trust and accountability. Colleges thrive when faculty are empowered to apply their knowledge thoughtfully and fairly. Respecting professional judgment is not about avoiding accountability or only considering legal liability. It's about honoring expertise, upholding standards and commitments we've made, and ensuring that student success is meaningful and earned. It should not happen only when it's most convenient in light of other considerations of the college. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up we have the SEIU report with President Sandy Segala.
Good afternoon, President Siobhan, Board of Trustees, Dr. Garcia, campus colleagues and community. I almost didn't come today. I said I didn't have a report to give. I've been away too long and I need to come back because I've missed you all. So I threw something together, so hopefully we'll get through this okay. Employee of the Month, also SEIU would like to also recognize and congratulate classified professional Farrell Dobbins, Coordinator for Veterans Affairs. Very well-deserved recognition for hearing her background and her story. I was very impressed with that. AFA and SEIU and the district, we had a few meetings in the recent past to support a development or create a means for next year's health benefits increases. We were looking at supporting equitable solutions and explore premium tiers to our current health benefits. As our health costs continue on the rise each year, we need to research other ways to help and not add great cost increases to employees' paychecks. Also, we want to thank the district for agreeing to schedule a meeting with both of our unions to have a discussion around this subject of health benefit increases. We're no longer now meeting with the district, but we will continue to meet with AFA to see what kind of other ideas and what we can work out amongst our unions to come on agreement upon to deliver to the district in a while. The restructuring of the shared governance, as we all work with the new restructured shared governance committees, meetings have commenced. A new created shared governance manual has been created to assist with implemented changes. There are still a few vacancies for our classified professionals to be appointed to committees. So please email myself or Linda J. if classified has an interest to be on any of the committees, and we will go over the vacant seats with you and be able to appoint the one of your choice. Classified Review Committee, the SIU, we continue to work with the district for classified job descriptions. We are finally making movement with the continued reappeal, the carryovers, a few of them still from on their job descriptions from the classified review process. We have appeals and many appeals upon appeals for various reasons. Either the person has been working out of class or the review is for a reclass of the current job description, or maybe this did not get reviewed appropriately during the study. Therefore, these are several being re-reviewed. CRC also continues to concurrently, as we do this, review new job descriptions when they are brought forward. SEIU PDA meeting date. We had a very successful unit meeting this last week, Thursday, with our classified in attendance. We had around roughly 80, both Zoom and in person, who attended. We reviewed our contract articles that we continue to work on with negotiations. We have not finalized our union contract that was due a while ago. We're still negotiating that. And we still have a few more articles to finish up on. There was great conversation as we reviewed our health benefit increases and a discussion on the district budget, which we had said we were waiting to hear from the board meeting today to hear if there are any updates on the district budget. Ms. Jolly, and then funding. SEIU has been addressing with the district the federal grant funding to our programs here at the college. Federal government has continued to put holds on disbursements of our district federal grants. Some will end at the end of this year and others in 2 years. This affects several of our current employees who are employed under these federal grants. SEIU and the district have been working on these issues for those classified who fall under these grants. We're looking for opportunities for our classified to be placed or to transfer into vacant positions as they come up, and have been told that they should apply for those positions that are being recruited for in the district, and with hopes that they could be able to fill a vacancy. If they are not successful, possible layoffs will occur, or they would go under a 39-month rehire according to contract. In the past, SEIU worked with the district when working conditions and funding had changed. Then this then created a reorg or placement of our classified professionals to other departments in positions somewhat similar to their current positions or classifications in order to maintain their employment, therefore not having to do layoffs. This was successful with about 8 individuals in the past that were involved with this. SEIU had also suggested recently with our president and vice president regarding an early retirement incentive with the district's budget deficit that's so high. We can probably get several people who want to jump on that wagon and get an early retirement incentive and allow us to not go into layoffs. And finally, the question continues to be from previous administration, what is the district not going to do anymore? Because we can't continue to add job duties to classified workload as employees already are on overload. January 20th, SEIU had a very successful Free America walkout. It was a peaceful demonstration protesting the actions of the current Washington, D.C. administration and the escalation of violence and violations of our civil rights in the U.S. cities across our country. We had roughly 250 to 300 individuals show up for this walkout from 2 to 3 o'clock. We asked the classified to get approval from the supervisors to attend the protest. We did this protest out on Mendocino Avenue outside the front of the college. And I just want to thank the managers who allowed their classified to participate in the demonstration. We were very successful. And I'm over my time, so I will cut it here. So thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you. You were so engaging. I lost track of time. I didn't cut you off.
And also Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you. That concludes our report portion of the agenda. We move on to the information items, starting with C1. A number of these are just written reports, but we'll go down the list. C1 was a monthly district board briefs. C2 was the SRJC Roseland update. And I'll just throw out, in talking about scheduling, that the board will be holding a board meeting at the SRJC Roseland campus for our April meeting. So looking forward to doing that. I don't know if anyone else has any comments on these items as we go down. Let me know. I have comment cards for certain items, but yeah, we'll keep moving down. The next one is C3, SRJC Multicultural Museum. C4, Water Resources Technology Program. C5 is Black History Month. We'll go, we do have a public comment on that. We'll go to, why don't we go to the public comment first, and then we'll go to board member comments. So Karina Wells, please go ahead.
Student Trustee Clark, President, Superintendent, y Doctora Garcia, members of the board. My name's Karina and I use they, them pronouns, and I have the astounding privilege of serving as director of SRJC's Student Life and Cultural Programs. I'm here today to take a moment, a public moment, to fangirl, to hype, celebrate, and exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, the brilliant community which makes up the Sawubona Black Learning and Opportunity Center. Regina Mahiri and the team at our Sawubona Center represent not only fun and engaging programming, but visionary educational practices. At a time when higher education is often pressured to reduce student engagement to metrics alone, Regina is doing something much deeper. She's intentionally fine-tuning the center's programming to foreground student development, centering Black wellness, cultural grounding, and what she calls supporting the students' development of their why. This is not accidental work. It is pedagogical, it is strategic, and it is necessary. Through a Kwanzaa cultural framework, Regina is emphasizing the Ngosaba principles like umoja, kujicha, gulia, and nia, unity, self-determination, and purpose. These are not abstract values, they are developmental anchors. They help students understand who they are, where they come from, and what they are building toward. In student development theory, we talk about identity formation, belonging, self-authorship. What we are building at Sawubona is exactly that, a space where students, all students, but especially Black students, can see themselves, be seen, and develop the internal clarity that sustains persistence and leadership. The focus on Black wellness is equally critical. Wellness here is not reduced to self-care trends. It includes intellectual freedom, communal care, cultural affirmation, and liberation from narratives that diminish Black excellence and joy. That work strengthens retention, academic engagement, and civic responsibility. In honor of Black History Month, I'll highlight a concept from Angela Davis's second lecture on liberation, which, by the way, can be found in certain editions of Narrative in the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American slave, written by himself. Angela Davis reminds us that Black studies has long been dismissed by some as indoctrination, as mental oppression, but history shows the opposite. It has been a site of intellectual awakening and critical inquiry. When we support spaces like Sawubona, we are not narrowing education, we are expanding it. The Sawubona Center is not peripheral to our mission, it is central to it. We are serious about student development, equity, and leadership formation. So then we at SRJC affirm that excellence in Sawubona Center's offerings. Our students, my students, deserve spaces that cultivate purpose, wellness, cultural grounding, and the courage to think critically about liberation. Thank you, and I'm sure I went over time.
Thank you. Next up, I don't have any other public comments on that, just double checking in the room or online. Then we'll go to Trustee Bailey.
Thank you, President Shaban. I too want to acknowledge and recognize the work of our coordinator, Regina Mahiri. On today, we lost a great American. I'm reminded by the comments of our doctor, Professor Dr. John Stover. It says, choose love, choose joy. The person that I'm referring to in our loss as a great American is the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Again, presidential candidate in '84 and '88. He was also a protege of Dr. Martin Luther King. Again, on the 100th year anniversary of Black History Month, understand that Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month, or should I say the founder of Black History Week, again, Black History Week to coincide with the President's holiday and the holiday of Frederick Douglass. Again, I'm reminded by the speech that Jesse Jackson gave in 1984 at the Democratic Convention, when he referenced the idea of as the fabric of this nation is being torn, and history, as our president superintendent indicated about the monuments that are being torn down, our people that are being characterized as criminals. Reverend Jesse Jackson, the founder and the CEO of the Rainbow Coalition. And the Rainbow Coalition encompassed the idea, the mindset, the example, and the expression of all who've come to the United States, who've come to the America, to this North American continent, the Native Americans, Black folk, people of African descent, our white folks, our settlers. Again, give us your poor, give us your religious persecuted. The idea of when he talks about the blanket, and I'm thinking about the fiber, it gives me a great sense of pride and an honor. I'm always referencing the honor it is to represent this campus. As we go around the state of California and throughout this nation, we often describe our campus, or should I say, being the bookends of our campus is K-12 and the university. But we're the campus that doesn't turn anyone away. So the idea, I wanted to make sure that I remind us on this day in the celebration of the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson, that we take a pause with regards to his service. And in my opinion, there's no greater service than that of public service, being a service to the community. And again, what we represent, and this is why I always talk about being the beacon, not only in this county, but in this great state of California. Again, these are some unprecedented times that calls for some very tough decisions. But I am so very proud to share this space with you and to be here with you to work alongside of my trustee colleagues, again, in support of the leadership. And I would always acknowledge the great leadership of our superintendent president, Dr. Garcia. So I just wanted to take a pause for a moment to remind you all that we lost a great American today. And so with that having been said, I just want to say I'm thankful and I'm grateful because of the spirit, not just the campus, but more importantly, the students, because our students will continue to be the leaders of this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Trustee Bailey. Any other comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll move to item C6, Doyle Scholarship Program. We do have, again, no presentation, but we have one public comment submitted. Michael Vonderporten.
Good evening again. The Doyle Scholarship Program is perhaps one of the most important and key parts of the junior college. It was established early in the JC's experience, and it has been a foundational element. We need to look at Frank Doyle's intent, and we have his intent in his will, and we have his intent through the original trustees, which includes his niece, who knew him. Obviously, these people knew him well, and we have to look at the scholarship program they set up. Are we honoring that donor intent? And I've given you a couple charts. One of them looks at the Doyle scholarship value adjusted for time. Back then, when the scholarships were created and shortly after, they were in the range of $10,000 or $11,000 in today's money. This was real money that had real impact on students. These were taking students who Frank Doyle recognized. They were scholars whose families basically couldn't afford school. He was looking at people like his tellers, whose tellers' children couldn't go to college. Or he was looking at the farmers he was supporting. Their kids couldn't go to college. The Doyle Scholarship allowed them to get in. And it was aimed at scholarship. And the other measure is you look at the GPA required to get a Doyle Scholarship. You have copies of this. It's gone way down. It was started as a 2.75. If we wanted to honor Frank Doyle's measurement, we'd have a Doyle Scholarship of about 3.25. Is this really what Frank Doyle had in mind? He was looking at scholars and scholarship. So we really need to go back and look at that. The Doyle Scholarship in its day meant a student could come and study. It meant he didn't need to take a second job. Today, the $1,700 you can get for taking 15 units or more, it's nice pocket change, but it doesn't change students. It doesn't bring students to SRJC. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at that piece of it. The other piece of it is the $13 million that is being held by the Doyle Trust, or excuse me, being held by the foundation. The idea of the Doyle Trust was that this money, they're holding $100 million in trust. The $4 million plus that comes across goes to students. Well, recently we've held back $13 million. And the explanation is we need to cover it for the next couple of years if the bank gets in trouble again. Well, if you rerun the numbers, we certainly don't need more than $8 million. That $5 million extra is money that's been withheld from students. We need to free up that money and get it to students. And there's more on the risk related to that, but I don't have time for that. And the last piece I'm going to ask this board to dig into is what we call the disappearing students. When we offer scholarships to students who only need to be there for the census. That is, don't get dropped in your first two classes when the instructors are required to drop you. If you're still on the census, you get your Doyle money. And if you disappear, you keep your money. Well, is this creating a problem?
That is
we
your
should
3
take a look
minutes.
at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comments on this item or board members wishing to comment? C7 is Financial Aid Awareness Month. I have no comments on that. C8 are the board policies and administrative procedures. We do have, I believe, a brief presentation on this.
Yes, thank you. So as we have been bringing forth policies and procedures, providing the same format. You heard from the trustee, the ad hoc committee, the work that they have been doing. This also includes the work that's been happening throughout the campus through our participatory governance process. So for first reading overview, many of these are either legal updates or legally advised. You'll see that we have 4 new ones. So BP 2015 regarding student member, BP 2305 annual organizational meeting, BP 2315 closed sessions, BP 2725 board member compensation. This is a new one. BP 4106 nursing programs, also a new policy. BP 4226 multiple and overlapping enrollments, new for our district. BP 5010 on admissions and concurrent enrollment. This one is accreditation related and it's replacing our former 8.1. And BP 5020 non-resident tuition is a new one. Continuing for first reading, we have BP 6300 fiscal management. This one is related to accreditation and replaces 5.2. And BP 6307 debt issuance and management is replacing 5.13. This is a legally required board policy. BP 6450 wireless or cellular phone use is legally advised, and this is a new policy for our district. And lastly, BP 6540 related to insurance. This is going to replace 0.24. So all of these are on your agenda for first reading. The next slate of information, this is information only. So these are revisions that have taken place with the administrative procedures. And you can see again on the revisions, we're either identifying if it's a legal update, if it's suggested, legally advised, and in our case, many of these are new. So we now have administrative procedures for special and emergency meetings, that one's standing. AP 2325 teleconferenced meetings, this is a new one. AP 3100 organizational structure, also new. AP 4106 legally advised and new. AP 4226 multiple and overlapping enrollments. AP 5010 admissions, and AP 5020 non-resident tuition. At the very top, we are going to retire 0.21. The ongoing administrative procedures. So the participatory governance has really been working hard, College Council, in terms of ensuring that we continue with our BP and AP revisions. So you're going to see again on this slide corresponding administrative procedures to the board policies that are listed. So on here, what I want to just highlight is that we have several new ones. So 6305 is related to reserves, 6307 debt issuance and management, 6315 related to warrants. Let's see. We have 6540 insurance, that's a new one, 6800 occupational safety. So this is going to replace 6.8.3 and AP 6850 hazardous materials. It's replacing 6.8.1 and 6.8.5. On your agenda for action for second reading, these are the ones that we're putting on the action items. So 6100 delegation of authority for business and fiscal affairs, 6150's designation of authorized signatures, 6500 property management, 6600 capital construction. That one, as a reminder, it's replacing 4 other policies. So we're bringing this into one. And then lastly, as was part of the bond update, we have some information there, but 6740, the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. So that's replacing 0.29. So a very busy agenda on policies and procedures, and definitely want to express my gratitude not only to the trustees and their ad hoc committee, but also to the campus community and college council for the oversight of these processes. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Yeah, thank you. We do have, first I'll go to public comment. We do have public comment on this item. I notice I have 2 cards from the same person. Because this is one agenda item, please address it all in 3 minutes. Michael Vonderpoorten,
Yes,
please
thank
go
you.
ahead.
Okay, I'll make it fairly quick. 6350 is contracts construction. And the first paragraph does have to do with projects that require state approval. So that's good. Paragraph 2 gets into projects that don't require state approval, apparently. And there seems to be a key missing element. When you have projects, and they can be pretty minor ones, you're supposed to, the board, not the staff, the board is supposed to engage at an architect or registered engineer. And why is that important? Because a registered engineer or an architect understands the law. They understand how to safely install a water line, for example. There's nothing calling out that you're going to have anybody like that looking at this stuff. And having a staff member who doesn't understand engineering, doesn't understand the law, doesn't understand health and safety, does not accomplish what this school needs to accomplish. And it puts you at great legal peril. So please take a look at that. How are you going to protect us and protect yourself with those kind of construction projects? The next one I want to talk about is AP 6850, which is hazardous materials. And once again, we're facing this issue. The safety data sheet is a fundamental document that's supposed to be available to everyone, so that you can understand what chemicals you're going to be exposed to, be working with, what's safe, what's not, what protective equipment to use, what to do in an emergency. And yet this policy talks about letting people know that this notice must state that the employer is required to make available on a timely and reasonable basis a SDS, safety data sheet, on each hazardous substance upon the request of an employee. It's a timely and reasonable basis, as the staff determines timely and reasonable, and on as requested. So let me read what the state has to say about that. And it says, employers are responsible for keeping the hazardous chemical inventory current, which we're finding they have not doing, making the corresponding most current SDSs received readily available to employees in their work areas, readily accessible during their work shifts. This means employees do not have to ask for an SDS. Example, not stored in a locked cabinet or office. And then it goes on about electronic access is accessible. The whole idea of SDSs is they are readily available without a request. Why is SRJC so different than basically every other organization in the state, private companies and public organizations, where it's supposed to be immediately readily available to employees? And then the JC has said to students and the public, why are we so different? Why do we keep it behind closed doors? Why do we keep it behind a locked key?
Thank you. That brings any other public comments on this item or in the room or online? Not seeing any, or board members with comments or questions. Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, C9, Equal Employment Opportunity Training. We have a presentation from VP Dunphy. Please go ahead.
I did bring my water just in case the frogs want to jump out again, so you never know. I thank you for this opportunity to come before you. This is an opportunity for me to provide you with training on bias elimination strategies that we're actually rolling out and implementing, while also forecasting the report that will come in May, our EEO report. I'm not gonna read off every slide. I'm gonna provide you with some of the highlights from this presentation and give you an opportunity to ask questions. But there are a couple individuals I'd like to shout out in this report that are doing a phenomenal job, specifically addressing bias. Today, I'm gonna give you an overview of SRJC's EEO responsibilities and commitments, provide you with a bit more understanding on, and identify bias in hiring and some of the strategies that we've rolled out to eliminate it. And also provide clarification on the role of hiring committees, department chairs, and also the role of the board. So what is an EEO plan? You've had this training probably a million times. And so I'll just give you a brief overview. It's required under the California Education Code, and it's a part of Title V regulations. But why we need it is because equal opportunity practices have not always been present. And our current EEO plan highlights 21 strategies that we are utilizing to address unbalances in our hiring practices in general. And it's designed to create equitable hiring practices across employee levels, from faculty to classified, managers, and confidentials. Also directly linking, there's a direct tie between the student experience and employee ranks. And so this gives us an opportunity to ensure that our workforce is reflective of the diversity in our community. So there's several screening strategies that we're implementing. One of the ones that I'd like to highlight for us today is our screening and selection process. Three specific areas that we've really focused on this fall is ensuring that we move to our e-references. That seems really simple, but e-references allow you to receive references back electronically. That eliminates some of the bias that comes when you have individuals gathering that information and writing that down. We've developed also in alignment with ACRO and other EEO programs throughout the state, a screening bank criteria. That systematic screening criteria eliminates, requires, and it's also required to be developed before an employee gets, or the hiring committees get the list of candidates. This eliminates even the appearance of impropriety that you develop your screening criteria after you've seen the employees. That same logic flows for interview test questions, that those questions are developed ahead of time before you've actually seen those applicants. And also the development of an interview question bank, where you don't have to go word for word, but it gives the structure for what good questions are, requires the questions to be released prior to the committees receiving them. The next time I come before you in May, we will have an EEO plan that's been reviewed by many constituent groups across the district, and also by the Chancellor's office. I'm really grateful to have Dr. Smotherman's partnership in ensuring that the metrics that we have in this report, the effectiveness metrics, are in alignment with both the education, our education master plan, and also our not education master plan, I'll rewind, the strategic master plan. So I'll jump into a bit of bias, but I won't jump into bias. I will jump into discussing bias, but there's one here. Many of these you probably have already seen before. I'd like to highlight halo and horn effect just to make sure that we're all aware. The halo effect is a cognitive bias that comes into play when we see something positive. Let's just say someone walked in and they were beautifully dressed, that positive influence carries over to every aspect of your engagement, or the opposite, the horn effect. Let's say someone came in and they didn't smell right, and that smell carried over, and that negativity carried over into every aspect of the interview process. What I want to just make sure that we are aware of, that awareness of bias and get awareness of bias training that gives awareness of bias and gives the tools can allow committee members to address things in a way that produces equitable outcomes. Where does bias show up in hiring? I'd like to highlight just one area, and I'll just jump into job descriptions. USC has done a phenomenal job in creating the criteria for examining job descriptions and examining bias in hiring job descriptions. But there's 3 areas I'd like to just point out that we should be mindful of when examining our job descriptions. Addressing masculine or feminine encoded language, addressing aging bias in our job descriptions, and then physical requirements that are unnecessary, meaning heavy lifting or walking when that's not necessary in a job description. Just a preview of things to come later on this semester, we'll be doing an EEO monitor training. Those EEO monitors sit in hiring committees, and they do a phenomenal job in addressing bias that comes up in real time with committees. And so that training will take place this spring. So just put it out there. I'd love to see all of you in that training, but it also will be a retraining for those EEO monitors that are already engaged with us. I talked about some of the bias elimination strategies, but in both the pre-hire, hire, and during the interviews. One of the areas I'd like to also point out is the structured scoring rubrics. Structured scoring rubrics reduce hiring bias by standardizing evaluation processes against objective criteria rather than subjective gut feelings. So you're on a hiring committee. There are 2 things I want to point out with the role of eliminating bias in a hiring committee from the committee's perspective. Many of our hiring committees are made up of multiple constituent groups at multiple levels. This encourages diverse representation, diverse perspectives. It encourages committees, ensures committees are it encourages diverse representation. This ensures committees consist of varied genders, races, ages, and backgrounds to bring different perspectives. That's the goal. That's what we're striving for. With multiple perspectives, it ensures all members can contribute to discussions and not just the loudest voices. And part of ensuring that not just the loudest voice is heard is the role of committee chair. The committee chair would manage conflicts of interest, actively identifying, monitoring, and addressing conflicts of interest, and also monitoring dynamics and power differentials in those spaces. When we don't abide by, it's a legal requirement that we abide by these EEO principles. But you don't just want to do it because it's legally required. When that last bullet point, the missed opportunity for excellence, is really what I want to focus on. When we demystify the hiring process, we don't lower our standards. Fair, transparent practices create a seat at the table for everyone. So if we do it right, what does it look like? I want to highlight one of the things that I see across this district that I'm super proud of, and that's our affinity groups. Being in community matters. And our affinity groups not only support one another, they don't not only support the students, but they are one of the tools that I use to ensure that we can attract and retain diverse employees. Each one of these groups are critical and crucial pieces for cultivating belonging on our campus. EEO success is everyone's job. I will be very blunt, addressing bias is not for the faint of heart. Truly addressing bias requires a learning community that allows us to help our colleagues grow. And it also requires transformational professional development, such as one professional development I want to highlight is the Belonging Without Othering work group. It's based on a book by Dr. Jerome Powell. Dr. Pernur Regency, forgive me for mispronouncing her name, but I want to highlight the fact that the curriculum that she developed is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Last but certainly not least, I was inspired by the questions that the board came up with the last time I was here. There were three things that really stood out for me. It was the trustees' desire not just to have legally compliant, but also to legal compliance, but to focus on the district on data-driven decisions to help move individuals from being applicants to colleagues. Number two, to reinforce commitment to transparent hiring processes. And ultimately, the role for all of us to create a workplace culture that attracts and retain individuals that will honor the needs of all of our students. With that, I will take questions.
Thank you. I don't have any public comments on this item. Any board members wishing to make a question? Did Trustee Fishman is your?
Yeah, thank you really a lot for this, but you outlined what we're supposed to be doing, and I'm wondering how we're doing in terms of maybe just two things. Are job descriptions rewritten as jobs come up? Would be maybe one of my questions, and what is different is happening in terms of how we advertise for positions. That was one of the things up there, and I don't know, maybe we don't have time to dig this deep in this, but I love everything that we're supposed to be doing, and I was wondering how is it going? Are we doing it? And
we're getting there.
Okay.
I can honestly say that we're examining all of the different practices to make sure that we're in alignment. Some areas we were doing phenomenal in other areas we needed to beef up. Specifically, the standardization of our screening criteria was something that I brought in immediately. And that the screening criteria that we have is in direct alignment with the Association for basically HR directors throughout the state have come together and created a criteria specifically as it pertains to EEO. We rolled all of that into the way that we are doing our screening criteria now. The interview test banks also align with that. So we are actively pursuing greatness.
Okay.
And as far as your second question goes, while we're rewriting the EEO plan currently, we're evaluating all of the ways that we're doing our recruitment strategies, specifically the organizations that we're going out to, and realigning that with what current practices are, not what was 3 years ago, not where we were 3 years ago, but also looking at the data where we have gaps and where we need to go after different populations. If I had a magic wand, but I have wonderful staff, and also as far as it pertains to, you've mentioned job description, that's a negotiated item. And so we do have to be mindful of our union partners and their influence in that role.
Trustee Martinez.
I just want to say thank you for the information. USC, their race and ethnicity work is, I've participated in a lot of that work while at Mendo College, so I know that it's very intentional. I hope to see, and I think we might, I always forget if we do or not, but when we, like a report later on, whenever we decide we want reports on things, or because we already had a few studies around employment and all that, sort of like the outcome, and I think I asked for before too, in terms of how many, the demographics of when we go out to hire, applied, actually made it, like the whole thing, if we could see that eventually, just especially in the faculty side. And I say that because that is where the student body and the faculty do not reflect each other, especially for Latinx community. And I want that to be very clear on, that's a big issue for me, because it's not like, oh, like the disparity is so small. No, it's like literally half. The students and the faculty do not reflect at all that matter. And it is very concerning, because even when I stepped into this role, that has been an issue. So this is my third term. That's almost 12 years. So it's really important to kind of see those things of like, and also to not minimize or dismiss this statement, but to be clear that the statement of like, they're not enough to apply is a lie. When it comes to especially faculty, because I have way too many mentees in the county who are PhDs. So I know that we have the people. I just got to figure out where in the loop is it that we're losing, especially for that category. Faculty is really, really important for me to see. But I hope that in the next year or so, when we come back and do study sessions, that we're able to really see like, where do we drop the ball? And then also, what is, as trustees, what can we do to assist even in that process? Because while we might be in charge of here, we also get, asked of like, oh, positions, or what can I do better? Like things like that. Obviously, I don't know exactly what they can do better because I wasn't in the interview, but it would be important for us to kind of see where we drop the ball. And is it before they even get here that we're dropping the ball? We're not being we're not marketing maybe as much or whatever, but I would like to see that. But I think that your guys's, our steps or the plans that are happening are great. It's just when we see it on the ground, it'll be really, really critical.
So you're speaking my love language, actually. That longitudinal data is where we're moving towards, and I'm working with Dr. Smotherman on developing that at each phase and at each step. Where have we missed the mark, and what can we be doing differently? It's a quality improvement mindset in what we're moving into. So I agree with you completely, and that we need that data to make real-time decisions. And so we are moving towards that actively.
Thank you. Any other trustees wishing to speak on this item? Really appreciate the presentation and the ongoing work. I think it's an iterative process to sort of figure out how we can continue to do better and be more inclusive. And, ultimately, we want to see, those numbers be reflective, or at least I do, of the community that we serve. And so how are we, addressing it at each stage, how to improve our processes, I think is really important exercise. And so appreciate the work that you and your team have been doing on that front.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes item C9. This moves us to the consent agenda. That's items D1 through D13. Approval is D14. Sorry, did you have a comment? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Consent agenda approval is item D14. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda? I do have one public comment on the consent agenda. Michael Vonderpoorten.
One quick one on the Citizens Bond Oversight Report. We've got on there the foundation renovation, and I really like to know how the board members respond to the public. When you take a bond to the public, you have two options. You could take it with a existing list of what you're going to do and get it passed with 55%. Or you could take a request for money, which gives you lots of freedom at 66 2/3%. This went through at the 55%. So there was an established list and very specific requirements about what was going to go on there. And part of what was in there was that there would not be office and overhead kinds of money diverted toward those kinds of things. The foundation building was not on that list. So how is it you could take $3 million and divert it to a foundation building, which is really a sole purpose administration office building for 6 people in this bond, and talk to the public with a straight face? And I understand you were looking for a source of money. There was a big pool of $420 million. We could just take 3 million and slide it over here. And of course, part of the explanation goes back to, well, we needed it for the housing building. Well, the housing building wasn't part of this bond either. That was a totally separate project funded elsewhere. So if the housing building needed to build the foundation building, that should have come out of the housing budget. So how is it you explain this to the public when they were talking about going back and asking the public for more money under a similarly restricted bond? Are we actually going to do what we say?
Thank you. Do I have any other public comments here in the room or online on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we will go to a vote. Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? The ayes have it. Brings us to our action agenda, starting with item E1, personnel actions. Do I have a motion and a second? Any public comment in the room or online, or board members wishing to comment? Seeing none, Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstain? The ayes have it. Item E2 are December 20th, 2025 to January 16th, 2026 warrants. Do I have a motion and a second? Any public comments on this item or board members wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll go to Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Trustee Fishman, I think you were going to abstain from that. I will, I'll make a motion to rescind the vote, and we'll revote. Do I have a second on that motion to rescind and revote? All those in favor? Aye. All right. We'll go back. This is item E2, December 20th, 2025 to January 16th, 2026 warrants. Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? All right, one abstention. It's all right. So that item carries with one abstention. Next, item E3, instructor load reports for summer and fall of 25 and spring of 26. Do I have a motion and a second to approve? Any public comments on this item here in the room or online? Seeing none, any board members with comments? No, we will call the vote. Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? That measure passes with one abstention. Item E4, quarterly financial report. Do I have a motion and a second? Any public comments on this item or board members wishing to speak? Seeing none, Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Item E5, this is the second reading of BPs 6100, 6150, 6500, 6600, and 6740. Do I have a motion and a second on item E5? Any public comment or board members with comment? Seeing none, Student Trustee Clark.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? That item passes unanimously. With that, I'd like to thank everyone for their time and attention and participation. This meeting is adjourned.